There are messages at the beginning of each of the Elul Parshas that are critical to us as we inch closer and closer to Rosh Hashana. Let's review the lessons of the first week, some that were shared already. The first Parsha of Elul is always Shoftim Titin Lecha, and although this is a national mitzvah, so why Titin Lecha, why the singular language? Because Elul has to start with self-evaluation. Besides the national mitzvah, we have to do our personal cheshbon nefesh, our personal accounting. What did my year look like? In what areas did I slack off? In what areas did I strengthen myself? And I want to make sure to hold on to my gains, which there definitely were. What are my realistic spiritual goals for the next year coming? As Rabbi Karlinsky mentioned, it's not just Shoftim, it's also Shotrim. Not just judges, it's an enforcement system. Okay, if it's less than $700, you can steal it, but...
$9.49.
What? $9.49. Things got worse over there. Okay, I hope someone's going to get cheshbon nefesh on that. But how am I going to put all these great ideas, Shotrim? How am I going to put all these great ideas into play? And then, last week, when you go into battle against your enemy, we have to know that one, we have an enemy, and two, we have to fight the enemy. There's only one thing worse than having an enemy, and that's having an enemy and not realizing you have an enemy. An enemy, the Yetzer Hara, operates in many forms and is conniving and planning, waiting in the bushes to trip us up and make us fall and never get up again. But he acts like our friend, just like a drug or an AI pal. I'm here for you. Of course you are. To help me make nothing of myself, live in a dream world with no real connections or fulfillment. Thank you very much, AI. Thank you, Claude. The Yetzer Hara has a lot of forms. It's our lazy nature and a strong supernatural spiritual force. And I want to emphasize all the foolish, defeating thoughts that go on in our brains. And we don't realize that enough. The Yetzer Hara wants us to think we're not important. Hashem can't love you after all you've done. No way. Or you can't really make anything for yourself. You can't change the cell. Forget about it. Or learning Torah is not important. You're just bench warming. Keeping benches warm. It's the summer. You don't need to keep it warm. It's warm already. Go outside the Beit Midrash and go do some real mitzvahs. Or a big Yetzer Hara, which is poking its head up so greatly in these last years. You can't have Ahavas Yisrael or judge favorably those you strongly disagree with. It's not relevant to them. It's hard to do a good job with that one this year. That's all Yetzer Hara, and it's a minute plethora of the other things he wants us to believe to keep us away from getting to where we need to get to. And then once we realize we have an enemy, as we mentioned, you have to fight him. The most important thing is to get out there. I'm not going to let my lazy nature take over my life. I'm not going to get addicted to my phone this year, or if I am addicted, I'll start creating boundaries and guidelines to stop it. What, addiction? Is that a word you want to be part of your life? I know addicts. Addiction? You're not scared of that? People don't tremble from that? This thing was created by a bunch of 50 guys, 25 to 35 graduated from Stanford, nothing against that university, which I also used to like, by super tech to make you addicted. That's what it was. And they're getting paid for it. But we won't go down with the fight. And I'm analyze my thoughts and track and strengthen the good ones and work hard to divorce the bad ones. And we mentioned that all Gedolei Yisrael were fighters. Rav Hutner has such an incredible letter, which has to be learned, and where he speaks about the vaunted carefulness in speech of the Chavetz Chaim. And he warns that we foolishly look at the end results. Look at the Chavetz Chaim. He wrote a book for generations. He brought a great mitzvah back on the map. No one was thinking about it. Yechidim were, but not the Klal. And now who doesn't talk about Lashon Hara? But we don't realize how much he had to battle to be who he was. And now we get to our Parsha. We begin with Bikurim. V'haya kisavo el ha'aretz asher Hashem Elokecha nosin lecha nachla. When you come to Eretz Yisrael, now it's time for Bikurim. First fruits. The first fruits of the 7 minim, 7 special species, which we bring to Yerushalayim, give to the Kohen. What's the message with this being in Elul? Why? Why is this the third idea? Specifically, we're already, till now we're talking Elul, we're already getting closer and closer to Rosh Hashana. So why is this a message which we need to hear before Rosh Hashana? Some more questions. The Smichas HaParshas. The end of last week's Parsha was, what mitzvah do we have at the end? What happening? Destroying Amaleik. So we have Amaleik and then Bikurim. What is the Shaychut? What's the connection between Amaleik and Bikurim? At the end of Parshas Bikurim, back in our Parsha, it says, "V'samachta b'chol hatov asher nasan l'cha Hashem elokecha." You have to be happy with all the good. It would seem that Bikurim somehow opens us up to joy. What is that connection? Everybody's looking for happiness. The answer is in this week's Parsha. A third issue, a fourth issue. We don't just bring Bikurim, we make a grand declaration. Some of the most famous psukim in Torah that even Jews far away say, because it's part of the Haggadah. Arami ovid ovid b'yer Mitzrayim. The Yagar Sham Tema B'Hisham L'Goy Gold Otzav V'Rav V'Chuli V'Chuli. You guys realize that? The Haggadah comes from this week's Parsha, not from Shmuze. We retell the story of Egypt from this week's Parsha. But we're not talking about the Haggadah. Let's leave Maxwell House aside. Why? Why do we make this declaration start suddenly before this mitzvah going to the Holy Spirit? We're going to say, and these tefillin came from a piece, from a cattle that was shechted, and put on your tefillin. When it comes to Bikurim, we have to talk about history. Finally, there's a very famous drasha, and a Yesod Gadol, a very fundamental point when it comes to the idea of Emunas Chacham, or believing in the rabbis. Ubasal HaKohen asher yiyeh b'yom ha'ein. It says you go to the Kohen that will be in those days, b'yom ha'ein. Ask the Sifri, Chazal, what's the purpose of the words b'yom ha'ein? You come to the Kohen that's there in your days. You think you can go to the Kohen that's not in your days? Go to the Beis HaKvaros, your Kohen. You can't go to the Beis HaKvaros. Which Kohen do I go? Of course I go to the Kohen asher yiyeh b'yom ha'ein. Answers the Sifri, no, it's talking about a lesson. Of course you're physically, practically going to the Kohen in your days, but it's the way your outlook at the Kohen. Ein lecha ele Kohen shebiyamecha. You have to live with the Torah authority and the leaders who you have. This is your Kohen? Oh, he's not as great as Aaron Kohen? No. Ein lecha ele Kohen shebiyamecha. Al tomar. Maya yam rishon shayitom elu. Don't say the old days they were better. Chazal famously say, Yiftach b'dor kishmul, but the Shmuel was equal to Moshe and Aaron. But Yiftach, many of us hardly know his name. Yiftach b'doro, Shmuel b'doro. Yiftach in his generation was like Shmuel in his generation. And that's a tremendous lesson. Every lesson has its Rabbanim, every lesson has its Gedolim, every lesson has, including ours, has people to ask. Not in the same generation. Yiftach wasn't close to Shmuel, but he was the Navi of his times. And you have to go to them. Wonderful drush, important idea. I hope if you never heard it before, it's an important idea on its own. It deserves more than one shmuz. But what's it doing over here? Why is Bikurim the place to teach that idea? So those are our questions. If we get to the shorish of what Bikurim is all about, we can answer the root, as so often as we can answer all these questions. This is the Parsha of Hakaras HaTov. Recognizing the good and thanking Hashem for it. The landowner is working hard the whole winter. His beautiful dates and luscious figs are bug-free and finally ready to be eaten. He tilled the soil, pruned the leaves, set up an irrigation system. He worked hard. Law of the farm. What a time to take credit for all of his work. It's me. It's all my hard work, my brilliant farming, my technology, my advanced irrigation systems. Me. No. We have recognition. We have Hakaras HaTov. And we thank Hashem, and we see the Hatzlachas through Him. Okay, you want to thank Hashem? He helped. But at least say the first fruits for yourself. Later you thank Kadosh Baruch Hu. And give God the later fruits. No. This is our Hakaras HaTov. I totally recognize this from you. Hashem Davka gets the first fruits, the Bikurim Reishis. He's the source of it. It's like, He's the one who gives us strength to do what we can do. We clearly say we can get none of this done without you, Hashem. We know there were natural processes at work, etc., but it was you, Levado. With this fundamental piece in place, we can understand and deal with our questions. Who in history was the ultimate not Makir Tov? Who lacked? Who missed it more than anybody? One man, one nation. Not under God. Amaleik. I always say, Hakar's Tov. Think about the words. Hakar's recognition of the good starts with recognition. Starts with Hakara. You have to be able to recognize. How much did this woman to make these Sephardi salads? So, a lot of work. And they asked the Sephardi woman one time, she came into a room, there was a table with 3 legs. And they said, Safta, what's missing from the table? She said, Salatim. The whole world is blown away. Blown away by Yetzias Mitzrayim, the leaving of Egypt, and Kriyas Yamsuf. Shamu Amim Yirgazun, we said this morning. The nations were agitated. Chil Achaz Yoshi Plashes. The Palestinians of the old were shaking. Az Nibal, they were confused. Alufi Adam, the generals of Edom. Ele Moab, the strong ones of Moab, Yochazemu Ra'ad, trembling. Namogu Kol Yoshvi Canaan. They were melted, the Canaanites. Who are we talking about in these Psukim? This Psukim in the Torah. Who's so moved? These are the big Bali Musar? Big Bali Chasidus, Ovdu Na'alim? It's not the big tzaddikim. Moab. Moab is so bad we don't accept Gerim from Moab. Edom. You know what? Edom's called Shav Barasi B'Olam. I created something of uselessness. Esav. Edom. The 7 nations, the Yoshvi Canaan are always spoken about in the Svarim as the 7 bad midos. We have 7 good midos, 7 bad midos. I mean, who was moved over here? This motley crew got it. You just couldn't ignore Kriyas Yamsuf. With all their bad midas and all their kfirah, they were moved. And one nation, oblivious. Where are you? Hello? A total and absolute lack of akara. Bikurim is our koach against the Amaleik. We recognize where things come from. They miss massive miracles. We see Hashem in the pomegranates. The Sfasema says this in one line. But koach achiza b'zeh ha-reishis. In the koach of this reishis, yichol limchot zeikar Amaleik. Bikurim is our power to knock out Amaleik. That's why they're next to each other. Why, we asked, do we mention Yeridas Mitzrayim? Why do we give this whole story? And our fathers went down to Egypt, etc. So Moshe Feinstein says a wonderful idea. When one mentions the chasadim that are done for him, it's not just thanking Kadosh Baruch Hu. You have to thank the earlier generations, the schut avot, the merits of the earlier generations. In order to say it's not my schus, it's the earlier generations. We're built on someone. We are here today. And we know it's the schut of all the Klal Yisrael went through in Mitzrayim. Arami Ovi Ravi B'Yerdetz Rabbi Hisham Imteimad V'Chuli, the whole process. If I'm bringing Bikurim today, and I'm thanking Kadosh Baruch Hu for the Bikurim, that's the main thing, but I remember and I refer to, and I link into the earlier generation, because I know they brought me to where I am. And you have to ask yourselves, friends, someday I always wonder, all of you have friends, brothers, sisters, that are certainly not yet religious, and unfortunately some of them, Abias Gold Tzedek. What was the schus of some Bali Tshuva to make it, some Gerim, while so many other secular Jews don't? You never know. It was that Bavi. 5 generations of crying at her Neirus that her children should. Your great-grandfather learning the Russian winter a little bit of Torah at night when he was tired. That schus stood for you. Think about that. So when we're here in the Parsha of Akaras HaTov, when we're getting away from the Koach Shel Amaleik, we mentioned the earlier generations. He brings a frightening smag. Smag is Sefer Mitzvah Gadol, not to be confused with Los Angeles. Yeah. Sefer Mitzvah Gadol, that was one of the counters of the mitzvot. Listen to this. The smag counts a mitzvah. There's an isser, a lav, to forget about Hashem. Now what does it mean to forget about Hashem? Ashara, I'm reading his words. Again, this is a Rishon. Shalei Ga'eh b'nei Yisrael. Do not become haughty. Kishakadosh Baruch Hu mashpilam tova. When they get wealthy and they have military skill and technical skill, etc. V'yomer sheberuach sheberevach shelhem v'otzim yad v'amalim asu v'ervichu kol zeh. It's just we're so smart. Jews are so smart. We're so industrious. We know better than anybody else how to do all we knew how to do. Our military, our technology, our wealth, it's all us. And you don't recognize Hashem. This is incredible. And they don't recognize this from Hashem. Says the Smag, that's a lav. Think about that. When we do that, it's all, my business skill. It's not just a nice midah. It's not something you make a video out of. It's a lav, a lotase. Like eating treif, it's treif. It's not a maisa. It doesn't have that level. It's not an action, but it's a lav. And he says, okay, the Rambam didn't count it. And listen to this. He says, I said it in a drasha, but I don't want to count it. It didn't make it into the book. And I came and I started finishing this part of my book, and I had a dream. And in the dream, in a dream, they said to me, Hinei shachachta et ikar. Your nice book, you left out the main part. Hisham Elohim Pedishkach Hashem. A message from above. You forgot the main part. Bonanti alav boker. You had to think about it. B'nei Yisod Gadol Hu B'yiras Hashem. And I added it. Be'ezrat Yahiv Chachmas L'Chakim. And of course he gives credit to Hashem for this insight. Incredible. So according to the Smaim, one of the Rishonim, there's a lav. Even to have that attitude. The non-Bikurim attitude, it's all me, is a lav. A lotasei. By the way, how do you remember which mitzvah this is? It's a nice remez. It's mitzvah Samach Daled, which is Siyata D'Shmaya. I mean, it's 64. Okay, in the Smaim. So now, let's think about this a little bit more. One of the very big difficulties when it comes to having a Kar Satov, to our wives, to our families, to Hashem, is a simple thing. I would be. It was a little better. There's life right now, but it was better, then I would really be thankful. Then I'd be okay. I have a car. If you're ever going to see my car, you can see what a car is, you know. My kids say to me, it has, you're holding it together with baragim, you know, on the outside, you can see them. Okay, but it's not a Tesla. It's not self-drive, you know. I have a job, but I'm not a CEO. I have a business, but it isn't Amazon. If things were just a little more the way I want, we're all like that. Now I'm blocked. So the attitude to achieve a Kar Satov has to be, I deserve nothing. And things are wonderful now. Could be, would be, should be. Foolish. And then when you think like that, you realize, wow, we all have so much. I mean, today's world today, we have what Achashverosh was the greatest ruler of the world. It says that he was cold in Tavis. That's why they brought Esther to him in Tavis. He was cold in Tavis. He was cold sleeping in the winter. Are you cold sleeping in the winter? I have the opposite problem. It's too hot in the winter. They put the heating on in Space Med's trying to kill me. Achashverosh ran the whole world. He was Melech B'Kippah. The whole known world was under his hand, and he was cold. And we have water coming out of who appreciates it? Running pens. Our whole life. Talking to myself. You have a car to get from place to place. Ice, etc. We're billionaire many, many times over. We all have so much. You just have to think about it. I'm talking to myself, of course. Now, when you think about it, whoa. And now it's not even talking about religious people. I have truth. I have davening. I have Shabbos. I have learning. I have Rashi. I have Tosas. I have structures. I have defaults. My God. Now, that's really the same attitude when you don't accept the Torah leadership of your times. Oh, if Moshe Feinstein were here, then I'd listen. If we had a leader like Rav Aaron Kotler, if we had a visionary like Rav Kook, if we had the Stipler again, I would go to him. So, it's not exactly Kar Satov, but it's the same chisaron. To correctly accept Torah leadership, we must say, no, the early days are better. This is who we are. Ein lecha l'shaveh b'yamecha. Yiftach b'daro kishmul b'daro. And maybe the Torah teaches it here because it's the same attitude. It's not the same thing, it's the same attitude. What stops us from accepting Torah leadership? Well, it could be better. It was better. And that's the same koach, the same mistaken thinking, which stops someone from having a Hakaras HaTov. Now, finishing off, why is this Parsha in Elul? Why closer to Rosh Hashana? So after learning those initial lessons, and of course there are many other lessons in the Parshas, of Cheshbon and Nefesh, and realizing you have an enemy, now it's time to work on your midas. You have to work on our characteristics. Midas is a central aspect of a person, like the Shari Kedusha says. Without a good midas, everything falls apart. Religion rests on a bed of good midas, good characteristics. And one of the most central midas of it all is Hakaras HaTov, this midah. Rav Hutner writes, Mishi hikir hachachamim amitim, someone who knew true chacham like he did. He was. Yodeh shetzal misha lo aylo Hakaras HaTov kimat mufrach etzlam. Rav Hutner says, someone who knew true wise people, when they would evaluate others and they saw he was lacking in Hakaras HaTov, it was almost like we'd say in Yiddish, like he was abgefragt. He was a mufrachtika person. He was messed up. Like, they say this is messed up. Sometimes someone has an issue. There's an issue and he's messed up. So, in our language, that's what Rav Hutner said. By chacham amitim, if you saw someone didn't have a Hakaras HaTov, nobody to talk to. And this is something we need close to Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana itself is a gift. New Year is a gift. We all want a new gift of life. All the things we want a new year, each with their own tefillah. Hakaras HaTov is what lets you keeps the hashpah down below. B'chol yom avarchecha, every day I will bless you. The blessing is what is morid the hashpah. V'hal shimcha le'olam vad, I will mahal you. Moshe David Vali, the Talmud Chaver of the Ramchal, says that the Hillel is what keeps the hashpah down. You can bring good to yourself, but you lose it. Bracha brings hashpah down, but Hillel, thanking, keeps it down. So we need this message. So it's twofold. We need this message now, friends, because we got to start working on our midas. Rosh Hashanah is coming. What do we want to look like next year? But also all the good that's going to be coming to us. Hayom Aras Olam. We're getting a whole world in Rosh Hashanah coming to us. How do we keep it down here? Through the midah of Hakaras HaTov. Okay, finally, why did we end with Simcha? Right? We said that the last pasuk of the Parsha Bikurim, look in your Chumashim, is V'samachta b'chol tov. And now you're happy. So it seems to be that somehow Hakaras HaTov causes us to be samech. What's that? So first off, everybody knows by now that gratitude is a catalyst for joy. We all know that, right? Sarapus people, chamutzim, you're never happy. When you have gratitude, you appreciate, you're happy. That's an attitude of gratitude makes one happy. Two, on a deeper level, when we're tola on ourselves, when we say it's all me, it's my success, it's my technology, it's my military, it's me, it's us, you're closed off. That's a closed off world. I'm an island, I don't need anyone. When we live in a world, in a certain way, it's like you feel good because you're like that. But that's a very shitchis, a very low level happiness. Not a happy world. A world focused on us is boundaries. I have boundaries. I have limitations. How much can I do? Borders, boundaries, limitations, borders. Those aren't happy words. When we have a Hakaras HaTov, we recognize it's not us. We played our role for sure. We get the reward, of course. But it's him. Then you live in his world. His world. His world. Shh. That's a world of limitlessness. No boundaries. A world where the sky is the limit. I'm just part of an infinite system. I'm a vessel for goodness. That's a happy world. That's a world where everything gets fixed. And third, simply said, a world of Hakaras HaTov is a world that's close to him. And being close to Kadosh Baruch Hu is a happy thing. Someone has God in his life. You feel, like Rav Soloveitchik writes, his strong hand on your frail shoulders. That's a happy life. Hashem is with me. I recognize him. I see him. It's his fruit. The more we recognize him, the more we're connected. The more we're connected, the more happy we'll be. So those are three aspects of the happiness. Gratitude brings the happiness. God's world is a happier world. And connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu is a happy thing. So therefore the parsha ends with Samachta b'chol tov. After we dig ourselves into the whole parsha of a Karsa Tov, with the recognition of the earlier Doris and not forgetting a Kadosh Baruch Hu and giving him the Koach HaReishis and beating Amaleik, etc. Now we're happy. One Lamaisa point to finish with, when they brought Bikurim they spoke. Arami Ovid Ovid. It's a Haggadah. It's in a declaration. So I think that's a good Musar point, practical point, to try to express things with distinct speech. Sometimes when you have a time on someone, you're very good at expressing yourself. Do you get it? Did I make it super clear to you? And then when we think, we slur the speech, etc. So imagine how your wife would feel if you said to her, I so appreciate all you're doing, taking care of the house and keeping all the rooms clean and making dinner. And what a dinner that was. The chicken was tasty. The vegetables were so fresh. Thank you. Try that one at home. She might faint, but make sure she's next to her chair. Yeah. But that's maybe a final lesson of the Parsha. That the Parsha of Akarsa Tov is all about speech. Bezrat Hashem, on working on Akarsa Tov, will propel us into New Year bigger and better than ever before. And we will together with all Klal Yisrael enjoy a good Gebench Dior. Hatzlacha.